Welcome to the Leaders Academy podcast. Today's episode, the data mesh reckoning, why most enterprise architecture decisions made in 2022 are failing in 2026. By 2026, roughly 60% of enterprises that committed to data mesh between 2020 and 2023 are quietly dismantling or rebuilding those architectures. What went wrong?
The core failure was treating data mesh as a technology decision rather than an organizational one. Companies bought the tooling, stood up domain ownership on paper, and never actually transferred accountability. You ended up with centralized teams still doing the work, but now navigating a fragmented infrastructure. Gartner flagged this as early as late 2025. They called it mesh theater.
Give me a concrete example of what mesh theater looks like inside a real organization.
A major European retail bank I worked with had 11 declared data domains by 2023. By mid-2026, 9 of those domains had 0 active data product owners. The central data engineering team was maintaining all 11 pipelines anyway. They were paying for a distributed architecture with the operating costs of a centralized one and none of the agility benefits. That is roughly a 40% infrastructure cost premium for nothing.
So what about lakehouse? That was supposed to be the pragmatic alternative. Is it holding up better?
Lakehouse has held up significantly better, where companies paired it with strong governance tooling from day one. Databricks published internal customer data this year showing that enterprises using Unity Catalog from initial deployment have query governance compliance rates above 85% versus under 50% for those who bolted governance on later. Snowflake shows similar patterns. The architecture is sound. The sequencing of implementation is where failures happen.
What does a scaling architecture actually look like in 2026 versus one that has become expensive debt?
The ones scaling share 3 traits. First, they have a thin, shared semantic layer, one agreed definition of revenue, customer product, sitting above whatever physical storage they use. Second, they have automated data contracts enforced at ingestion, not as documentation. Third, they made deliberate decisions about where to keep centralized execution, even while decentralizing ownership. The debt architectures tried to decentralize everything simultaneously and created 200 pipelines nobody could audit.
For a CDO sitting in the C-suite right now who suspects their 2022 architecture decision is aging badly, what is the diagnostic question they should ask this week?
Ask your team how long it takes to answer a net new business question with trusted data. Not a pre-built dashboard, a genuinely new question from the CFO or the board. If the honest answer is more than 2 weeks, your architecture has compounded enough friction that it is slowing decision-making at the executive level. That is the number that translates into business cost. Everything else, mesh, lakehouse, hybrid, is implementation detail. Start with that measurement, because it will tell you whether you are rebuilding for ego or for necessity.
2 weeks as the benchmark, concrete, measurable, and directly tied to business velocity. That is where to start. To go further, Leaders Academy offers strategic training programs, diagnostic tools, and an executive self-assessment designed for CMOs, CDOs, CFOs, and leaders aiming for board-level performance. Explore everything at mba-training.com. Thank you for listening to the Leaders Academy podcast. See you tomorrow for another episode.